The letter arrived on a Tuesday. I remember because I'd just finished installing new kitchen cabinets for a client, and my hands still smelled like sawdust and wood stain. The bank's logo glared at me through the envelope's plastic window, but I wasn't worried. I always paid my mortgage on time. My name is Kaya, and I've spent the last decade building my life exactly how I wanted it. Project manager by trade, homeowner by determination, and apparently, as I learned that day, a complete fool when it came to trusting family. The first line of the letter made my coffee go cold in my throat. Notice of default and intent to foreclose. This has to be a mistake, I muttered, fumbling for my phone. The bank's customer service put me on hold 3 times before connecting me to Sean, a loan officer who spoke with the kind of careful tone reserved for delivering bad news. Ms. Lawson, according to our records, your property was used as collateral for a business loan taken out 4 months ago. The payments are severely delinquent. What business loan? I never took out any loan. The documentation shows you as a co-signer. The primary borrower is Evan Lawson, and the guarantors are listed as Trinity and Rick Lawson. My brother's name hit me like a slap. That's impossible. I never signed anything. We have notarized documents with your signature, Sean said gently. Would you like me to email you copies? 20 minutes later, I was staring at my computer screen, my hands shaking. There it was, my signature, perfectly forged on loan documents for $300,000. My parents' signatures were there too, along with Evan's flamboyant scrawl. The notary's stamp belonged to my mother's bridge club friend, Patricia. I drove to my parents' house in a blur. The familiar colonial with its pristine lawn and my mother's precious rose bushes looked different now, sinister, like it was hiding secrets, which of course it was. They were having dinner when I walked in without knocking. My mother looked up from her plate, annoyed at the interruption until she saw my face. Kaya, what's wrong, sweetheart? I slapped the papers onto their dining room table, scattering my father's peas. Care to explain this? My mother barely glanced at them. Oh, that. Well, we knew you'd say no if we asked, but Evan needed the money for his new venture. It's going to be huge, a chain of automated car washes across 3 states. You forged my signature? You used my house as collateral without telling me? My father wouldn't meet my eyes, but my mother's face hardened into that familiar expression of righteous certainty. Family helps family, Kaya. Your brother needed this chance, and your house has all that equity just sitting there. Don't be selfish. Selfish? My voice cracked. He's 3 months behind on payments. The bank is threatening foreclosure. He's had some startup delays, my father mumbled. It'll work out. Where is he? I demanded. Where's Evan? On a business trip, my mother said smoothly. Meeting investors in Phoenix. He'll sort everything out when he gets back. I laughed, and it sounded horrible even to my own ears. Phoenix? Let me guess. He's staying at some luxury resort, spending loan money while my house is on the line? Now you're just being dramatic. My mother stood up, straightening her cardigan. This attitude of yours, this refusal to help your brother, it's always been your problem, Kaya. So rigid, so unwilling to bend for family. Bend? You committed fraud. You could go to jail. Don't be ridiculous. She waved her hand dismissively. Patricia did us a favour with the notary stamp. Everything's legal enough. And once the car washes start operating... Stop! I held up my hand. Just stop. Do you even hear yourself? My father finally spoke up. Princess, we knew you'd be upset at first, but your mother's right. Family has to stick together. Evan just needs a little more time. I looked at them. Really looked at them. My mother, serene in her certainty that she'd done nothing wrong. My father, weak and enabling as always. They sat in their comfortable dining room, eating dinner like it was just another Tuesday, while my entire world was crumbling. I turned without another word and walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother call. Don't be childish, Kaya. Come back and discuss this reasonably. But I was already in my car, my hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel. As I drove home, their words echoed in my head. Family helps family. Family sticks together. Well, they were about to learn exactly what happens when you betray family. Because they hadn't just stolen my signature or leveraged my house. They'd stolen my trust. and I was going to make damn sure they regretted it. They did what? Zaylee slammed her coffee mug down so hard that several nearby customers at the cafe turned to stare. I'll kill them. Actually, no. First I'll sue them, then I'll kill them. I managed a weak smile at my best friend's outrage. Being a lawyer, Zaylee's first instinct was always legal warfare. Right now, that's exactly what I needed. Can they really get away with this? I asked, sliding the loan documents across the table. Zaylee's eyes narrowed as she scanned the papers. This notary stamp? It's technically valid, but if Patricia did this without witnessing your signature, that's a criminal offense. She looked up sharply. Have you called the police? Not yet. I hesitated. They're still my parents. They're criminals who committed fraud, Zaylee corrected, then softened her tone. Look, I get it, but they're counting on you being too loyal to fight back. That's how they've always operated, right? She wasn't wrong. I thought about all the times Evan had borrowed money, all the times my parents had insisted I help him out. The business courses he never finished, the startup equipment he sold for quick cash, the investors he'd left hanging. Here's what we're going to do, Zaylee said, pulling out her laptop. First, we document everything. Every conversation, every piece of paper, every email. Then we're going to look at these loan documents very, very carefully. For the next hour, we combed through the paperwork. Zaylee's expression grew increasingly animated as she found what she was looking for. Got it? She pointed to a clause buried in the fine print. This is beautiful. There's a provision for transfer of liability under specific conditions. Your parents didn't read the fine print, did they? They never do, I said. They just sign whatever Evan puts in front of them. Perfect. Zaylee's smile was predatory. Because we're about to use that against them. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Evan's back in town. Coming for family dinner Sunday. Be there to apologise for your behaviour. I showed it to Zaylee, who snorted. The audacity. Wait, this is actually good. Keep playing nice. We need them comfortable and careless. What exactly are you planning? You're going to start recording everything, she said, pulling up an app store on her phone. Download this. It's legal in our state to record conversations as long as one party consents. That's you. As I installed the app, Zaylee continued outlining her strategy. We also need to find Evan's other victims. I guarantee your house isn't the only thing he's leveraged. I wouldn't even know where to start, I admitted. Social media, business registries, local court records. Zaylee was already typing. People love complaining online about getting scammed. We just need to... Hello, what's this? She turned her laptop to show me a Facebook post from 6 months ago. Warning to all small business owners, Evan L. promised partnership in automated car wash venture, took $50,000 in matching funds, then disappeared. Contact me if this happened to you too. The post was from someone named Sadie. Reach out to her, Zaylee advised. Carefully, through a new email account. We need to build a paper trail of Evan's cons. I felt sick reading through the comments. Dozens of people sharing similar stories about my brother. Equipment loans never repaid, investment money vanished, lease agreements abandoned. I can't believe they keep covering for him, I whispered. Because it's never affected them directly, Zaylee pointed out. They've always had you as their safety net. Time to cut that net and let them fall. She pulled out a legal pad and started writing. If they like playing with contracts so much, let's drown them in paperwork. By the time we're done, they'll wish they'd never forged your signature. What about my house? We protect it first, she said firmly. I'm calling in a favour with a real estate attorney. We're going to transfer partial ownership to a trust, then sell off that back lot you never use. It'll give you liquidity and make the property harder to seize. My phone buzzed again. Another text from my mother. Wear something nice Sunday. The neighbours are coming too. Zaylee read it over my shoulder and laughed. Oh, they want an audience. Let's give them one they'll never forget. For the first time since receiving that letter, I felt something other than panic and betrayal. Something that felt a lot like hope, or maybe revenge. One more thing, Zaylee said, closing her laptop. Stop calling them Mum and Dad. From now on, they're Trinity and Rick, the people who tried to steal your house. Distance yourself emotionally. This isn't about family anymore. This is business. She was right. I'd spent my whole life being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always cleaned up Evan's messes. Not anymore. Okay, I said, straightening my shoulders. Let's get to work. The realtor's sold sign went up on my back lot 3 days later. The young couple who bought it were thrilled to get land in my neighborhood, even if it was just an oversized garden plot. I was thrilled to have quick cash and one less thing my family could take from me. Sign here, Zaylee said, sliding another document across her desk. This puts the remaining property in a trust. Your parents won't be able to touch it without triggering multiple legal alerts. I signed, then checked my watch. I'm meeting Sadie in an hour. The woman from Facebook? Are you sure that's safe? We're meeting at her cafe, public place, security cameras. I stood up, straightening my jacket. Besides, I need to know what my brother did to her. The cafe was small but busy, with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. Sadie was easy to spot. Young, determined-looking, with a streak of purple in her dark hair. She waved me over to a corner table. I almost didn't believe your email, she said, as I sat down. His own sister wanting to expose him. That's new. Tell me everything, I said, hitting record on my phone app. From the beginning, Sadie's story was worse than I'd imagined. Evan had convinced her to invest her inheritance in his car wash scheme, promising to match her funds with his own investment. He'd even shown her fake bank statements. The grant money was what really got me, she said, twisting a napkin in her hands. He applied for small business development funds using my cafe's information. Somehow got approved for $75,000. The check came to my business address, but he intercepted it, forged my signature. My stomach lurched. He does that a lot. Then he disappeared. Left me with lease payments on a commercial property he'd rented for the car wash. Nearly bankrupted my cafe. She gestured around the room. I had to sell my house to keep this place afloat. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Your parents came to see me, you know. Said I should be patient, that Evan was just having cash flow issues. Her laugh was bitter. They offered to pay me $500 to drop the police report. Did you? No. But the police said it was a civil matter since I'd willingly invested. She pulled out her phone, showing me screenshots. I kept everything, though. Emails, texts, bank records, even recorded them offering me hush money. I forwarded copies of everything to my secure email, then showed her the loan documents with my forged signature. Her eyes widened. That's the same notary stamp he used on my grant paperwork. She dug through her files, pulling out a document. Look, identical. Even has the same slight smudge on the right side. My hands were shaking as I photographed her paperwork. Patricia hadn't just helped my parents commit fraud. She'd been helping Evan all along. There are others, Sadie said quietly. A lot of others. We have a group chat. My phone buzzed. Trinity calling. I declined it, but seconds later a text appeared. Went to the bank today. Taking out a HELOC on our house to help with Evan's situation. You'll see we're handling it. No need for your dramatics on Sunday. I showed Sadie the message. She shook her head. They're still enabling him. After everything? They think money solves everything. They'll drain their retirement, remortgage their house, anything to keep his schemes going. I paused. But maybe we can use that. How? That HELOC, it's new debt, new paperwork, new opportunities to... I trailed off as an idea formed. Would you be willing to tell your story in front of witnesses? Maybe Sunday night? Sadie's smile was sharp. Just tell me when and where. I'll bring receipts. Back home, I found another text from Trinity. Evan's bringing his new business partner to dinner. Wear that blue dress you have, the one that doesn't make you look so severe. I forwarded it to Zaylee with my own message. They're getting sloppy. Taking out more loans, inviting strangers to witness their dysfunction. Time to speed up the plan? Her response came quickly. Perfect. Your mother always did love an audience. Let's give her a performance she'll never forget. I walked through my house that evening, touching the walls I'd painted myself, the cabinets I'd installed, the life I'd built. In my home office, I opened a new document and began typing, Timeline of fraud and financial abuse, perpetrated by Evan, Trinity, and Rick. The list grew quickly, each entry backed by documents, recordings, or witness statements. By the time I finished, it was past midnight. and I had enough evidence to bury them all. Sunday dinner was going to be interesting. I wore the blue dress, not because Trinity asked, but because it made me look exactly like the dutiful daughter they thought I still was. Zaylee had coached me for hours. Smile, apologize, make them think you've accepted their explanation. The more comfortable they feel, the sloppier they'll get. The house was full when I arrived. Trinity had invited the neighbours, just as she'd threatened. Rick was playing bartender, while Evan held court in the living room, gesturing dramatically as he described his latest business venture to their captive audience. "Kaya!" Trinity air-kissed my cheek. "You look lovely, see? That dress is so much more appropriate than your usual work clothes." I swallowed my retort and smiled. "Thanks, Mum. Is that paperwork for the HELOC on the kitchen counter? Maybe I could help review it?" "Oh, your father's handling all that." She waved dismissively. "Go say hello to your brother. He's brought Marcus. Such a nice young man, very successful in real estate." Marcus turned out to be exactly what I expected. Another smooth-talking con artist in an expensive suit. He and Evan were thick as thieves, finishing each other's sentences as they outlined their latest scheme. "It's not just car washes anymore," Evan announced. "We're talking full-service centres. Marcus here has connections with major property developers." I recorded every word on my phone, hidden in my purse. During dinner, I played my role perfectly. I asked interested questions about their business plan. I laughed at Evan's jokes. I even apologised for my overreaction last week. "That's all we wanted to hear," Trinity beamed. "Family has to stick together. Rick, get those papers for Kaya to sign. Show her we're handling everything." Rick shuffled into his study and returned with a stack of documents. "Just some formalities for the bank," he said, sliding them across the table. "Sign where marked, Princess." I made a show of reading through them carefully. "This looks complicated. Mind if I take photos to review later?" "No need," Trinity said quickly. "It's just routine stuff. Sign now while everyone's here to witness." I pulled out my phone anyway, snapping pictures while making small talk. Trinity's face tightened, but she couldn't object without looking suspicious in front of the neighbours. "Actually," I said brightly, "I brought some papers too, for that investment opportunity we discussed." I pulled out the documents Zaylee had prepared. "Since we're all signing things tonight," Evan barely glanced at them before scrawling his signature. Rick hesitated slightly longer, but with Trinity nodding encouragement, he signed too. They were so used to pushing papers at me, they never expected I'd turn the tables. "What exactly did we just sign?" Marcus asked, his first show of actual business sense all evening. "Oh, just some liability transfers," I said casually. "Family helping family, right, Mum?" Trinity's eyes narrowed slightly, but she kept her social smile fixed firmly in place. "Of course, dear. More coffee, anyone?" As the evening wound down, my phone buzzed. A text from Sean at the bank. "New documentation received. Liability transfer complete. Your property is now protected. Good luck." I stayed just long enough to be polite, then made my excuses. At the door, Trinity caught my arm. "I'm glad you've come around," she said. "I knew you'd understand eventually. Family first, always." I looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman who taught me that love meant sacrifice, that family loyalty trumped personal boundaries, that my role was to enable and excuse and clean up after everyone else's messes. "You taught me well," I said softly. "Everything I know about handling family matters. I learned from you." She beamed, missing the edge in my voice completely. In my car, I called Zaylee. "It's done. They signed everything. Perfect." I could hear her grinning. "The transfer documents are already filed. By morning, they'll be legally responsible for every cent of Evan's loans. And with the HELOC they just took out, they've tied their own noose," I finished. "Exactly. And the best part? They did it to themselves, just like they did to you. Karma's a beautiful thing." I drove home slowly, savouring the weight lifting from my shoulders. My house was dark and quiet when I arrived, but it felt different now. Safer. Maine again. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Sadie. "Just heard from 3 more of his victims. When do you want us to show up at your parents' house?" I thought about Trinity's smug smile, about Rick's weakness, about Evan's endless schemes, about all the lives they'd helped him ruin while pretending it was just family helping family. "Sunday," I texted back. "Next family dinner. Bring everything you have." It was time for the final act, and I was going to make sure they had the biggest audience possible for their downfall. The first crack in Trinity's perfect world appeared on Wednesday morning. I was at a job site when my phone lit up with her call. "Someone's posting horrible lies about your brother online." Her voice was shrill. "Business reviews, social media, everywhere. You have to help us get them taken down." I pulled up the posts I'd been orchestrating for the past week. Dozens of Evan's victims sharing their stories, complete with documentation. The local business journal had picked it up, running a piece titled "Serial Entrepreneur or Serial Scammer." "Have you read them?" I asked innocently. "Maybe they're not lies." Of course they're lies. This Sadie person is clearly just bitter about a failed business deal, and now she's got others making up stories too. I could hear papers rustling in the background. "What are you doing?" "Trying to reach the bank. These ridiculous people have been calling about some property listing." She paused. "Why are they saying our house is collateral for their investments?" "Probably the same reason my house was collateral for Evan's loans," I said flatly. "Family helping family, right?" The line went quiet for a moment. "Kaya," she said slowly. "What did you do?" "Nothing you didn't teach me. Check your mail. There should be some interesting documents from the bank arriving today." I hung up as she started to sputter. Within an hour, my phone was flooded with texts. "Rick, Princess, please call your mother. Something's wrong with the paperwork." Evan, "WTF did you do? Marcus is bailing on the deal." Trinity, "Fix this now." I ignored them all and called Zaylee instead. "It's starting," I said. "How long before they realise?" "The bank's processing the liability transfer today. By tomorrow, every debt Evan racked up becomes their legal responsibility, including that shiny new HELOC they took out." My phone buzzed again, a local news number. "Looks like the reporters found Evan's trail," I said. "Right on schedule." "Perfect timing." I just got off the phone with the notary board. Patricia's facing an investigation for multiple fraudulent stamps. She's already talking, trying to save herself. I ended the call and checked my email. Sadie had forwarded me a message from Marcus, Evan's supposed business partner. "Distance myself from all operations immediately. Legal concerns mounting. No further contact." The next text from Trinity was different. "Half our furniture is being inventoried. What the hell did you do?" I sent back a single line. "Family helps family." That afternoon, I drove past their house. A bailiff's car was parked outside. Through the window, I could see Trinity gesturing frantically while Rick sat slumped in his favourite armchair, the one that would probably be seized by the end of the week. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognise. "Ms. Lawson? This is Anthony from the county clerk's office. We're processing some property seizure orders and needed to verify some details." "Of course," I said, watching another official-looking car pull up to my parents' house. "Happy to help." "The liability transfer paperwork filed last week. The signatures are all authenticated and witnessed properly?" "Unlike the ones they forged," I confirmed. "Everything's legal, everything's documented." After hanging up, I parked down the street and watched the scene unfold. Trinity came storming out, waving papers at the bailiff. Rick followed, looking lost. No sign of Evan. He'd probably vanished again, leaving them to deal with the fallout. Just like always. My phone lit up with a message from Sadie. "News crew outside my cafe. They want to interview all of us. Ready to go public?" Before I could reply, another text came through, from Sean at the bank. "Final transfer complete. Your property is fully protected now. Good luck with everything else." I drove home, feeling oddly empty. Not sad exactly, not even angry anymore. Just done. Inside, I found a letter from Trinity had been slipped under my door. The handwriting was shaky. "How could you do this to your own family? After everything we've done for you? The neighbours are talking. The bank is calling. Your father can barely look at me. Evan's reputation is ruined. Is this what you wanted? To destroy us all?" I recorded myself reading it aloud, then sent the audio file to Zaylee with a message. Add it to the evidence file. They still think they're the victims. Her response was immediate. Of course they do, but the real victims are getting justice now. You did that. Be proud. I looked around my house, my safe, secure house that they'd tried to steal, and finally let myself smile. Sunday dinner was still coming, and with it, the final act of this family drama. And this time, I'd written the ending. The bailiffs arrived at 9 a.m. sharp on Sunday morning. I watched from my parked car as they methodically loaded Trinity's precious antiques into their truck. Her crystal collection, Rick's signed baseball memorabilia, the grandfather clock that had been in the family for generations. My phone rang. Trinity. They're taking everything, she sobbed. You have to help us. Please, Kaya. We're your parents. Are you sure? The paperwork you forged says I'm just another business asset. That's not fair. We did that to help your brother. And how's that working out? I watched another bailiff emerge with Rick's golf clubs. Where is Evan, anyway? He's dealing with some legal issues. Her voice dropped. Marcus turned out to be an FBI informant. Something about wire fraud investigations. Of course he was. I'd made sure of that. The neighbours are watching, Trinity whispered. Mrs. Peterson from across the street is actually taking pictures? Do you know what this is doing to our reputation? About the same thing you did to mine when you tried to steal my house. A commotion drew my attention. Sadie had arrived with several others, all former victims of Evan's schemes. They stood on the sidewalk, phones recording everything. Who are these people? Trinity demanded. Why are they here? Family reunion, I said coldly. All the people Evan scammed, all the lives he ruined while you enabled him. They wanted to witness karma firsthand. This isn't karma. This is you being vindictive. A police car pulled up. 2 officers approached the house, and I heard Trinity gasp. I have to go. The police are here about Patricia's notary fraud. I know, I said. I'm the one who reported it. I ended the call and got out of my car. Sadie walked over to meet me. You okay? She asked. Better than okay. I watched the officers enter my parents' house. How many showed up today? 12 of us. More coming for the evening news segment. She smiled grimly. The reporter wants to do a piece on financial elder abuse. How children manipulate their parents into taking on massive debt. Thought you'd appreciate the irony. A familiar BMW screeched around the corner. Evan. He jumped out, designer suit wrinkled, face red with rage. You evil bitch, he shouted at me. You ruined everything. No. Sadie stepped forward. You did that yourself. We're just making sure everyone knows it. He turned on her. You're that coffee shop nobody, the one who couldn't read a simple business contract. The one you stole Grant money from, she corrected. And look, here come the federal agents to discuss that with you. 2 unmarked cars had indeed pulled up. Evan's face went from red to white. Mum, he yelled toward the house. Dad, do something. But Trinity and Rick were busy with the local police, giving statements about Patricia's fraudulent notary services. Through the window, I could see Rick's shoulders shaking as he signed another document. Evan made a break for his car, but the federal agents were faster. As they led him away in handcuffs, he kept screaming about family loyalty and how we'd all betrayed him. Family loyalty, Sadie mused beside me. Funny how that only goes one way with guys like him. Trinity appeared on the front porch, mascara streaking her face. Kaya, please! They're arresting your brother. They're saying something about federal charges. Multiple counts of wire fraud, I confirmed. Plus the notary fraud, investment scams, and all those business loans he defaulted on. The ones you're now responsible for, thanks to those papers you signed so eagerly. We're your parents, she whispered. How could you do this to us? The same way you did it to me, one signature at a time. The bailiffs finished loading their truck. The police led Patricia away in handcuffs. She'd been hiding in the guest room. The federal agents drove off with Evan, and through it all the neighbours watched, phones recording every moment. Rick finally emerged, looking ancient. Princess, he started. Don't, I cut him off. You don't get to call me that anymore. You don't get to call me anything. But what are we supposed to do now? Trinity wailed. Where are we supposed to go? I looked at my childhood home, now stripped of its contents, at my broken parents, finally facing consequences, at Evan's empty BMW, soon to be seized like everything else. "You're smart people," I said, turning to leave. "I'm sure you'll figure something out. After all, family helps family, right?" I walked away to the sound of Trinity's sobs and the clicking of camera phones. Behind me, Sadie and the others began sharing their stories with the gathering news crews. The family empire was falling, and I didn't look back once. The mediation room felt too small for the amount of rage Trinity brought with her. She sat across the table, designer handbag now a knockoff, wearing the same self-righteous expression she'd perfected over years of enabling Evan's schemes. "This is ridiculous," she announced to the mediator. "We're here because my daughter is throwing a tantrum over a simple family matter." Zaylee, sitting beside me in full lawyer mode, smiled like a shark. "A simple family matter involving federal fraud, Mrs. Lawson? Interesting perspective." Rick slouched in his chair, looking defeated. Their lawyer, a nervous man named Thomas, kept shuffling papers and checking his phone. "We have a proposal," Thomas began. "No," Zaylee cut him off. "First, we're going to review exactly what your clients did." "Screen, please." The mediator dimmed the lights as Zaylee started her presentation. Photographs of forged documents, audio recordings of Trinity and Rick admitting to the fraud, bank statements showing how they'd funneled money to Evan for years. "Stop this," Trinity demanded. "This is private family business. Like stealing your daughter's house was private family business?" Zaylee clicked to the next slide. "Or helping Evan defraud dozens of innocent people. Here's Patricia's signed confession about the notary fraud, by the way. She's very cooperative now that she's facing charges." Rick finally spoke up. "Princess, please. We can work this out. Family doesn't need lawyers and courts." "Family doesn't commit fraud either," I said quietly. "But here we are." Thomas cleared his throat. "Perhaps we could discuss a payment plan, once Mr. and Mrs. Lawson sell their remaining assets." "They don't have any remaining assets," Zaylee interrupted. "Everything's been seized or frozen. The house, the cars, the retirement accounts, all gone, thanks to the liability transfer they so helpfully signed." Trinity's face went from red to white. "That paperwork you tricked us into signing, we'll contest it." "With what evidence?" Zaylee's smile widened. "The signatures are properly witnessed and notarized. Legally, unlike what you did to Kaya. You might want to read documents before signing them. Isn't that what you always told your daughter?" The mediator cleared her throat. "Perhaps we should take a brief recess." "No need," I said. "I think we're done here. They can't undo what they did, and I can't undo what I did in response. Karma's funny that way." Trinity stood up so fast her chair toppled. "Karma? You destroyed our lives, our reputation. Your brother is in jail." "Where he belongs," I replied calmly. "Along with Patricia. You're lucky you're not joining them." "Lucky?" She laughed hysterically. "We're bankrupt. Your father had to take a job as a night security guard. I'm selling makeup on social media. Sounds like you're finally learning about honest work." Rick put his head in his hands. "What do you want from us, Kaya?" "Nothing." I stood up, gathering my things. "I already have what I want. My house is safe, Evan's victims are getting justice, and you two, you're finally facing consequences for your actions." "We're your parents," Trinity whispered, but the words sounded hollow now. "No," I said. "You're the people who taught me that family is just a weapon to get what you want. Congratulations. I learned that lesson really well." Zaylee started packing up her presentation. "We're done here. The liability transfer stands. All debts remain with Mr. and Mrs. Lawson. Any attempt to contest will result in criminal charges being filed." As we headed for the door, Trinity called out one last time. "You'll regret this. Someday you'll need family and we won't be there." I turned back. "You were never there. That's why we're here now." In the hallway, Zaylee gave me a quick hug. "You okay?" "Better than okay." I checked my phone. More messages from Sadie and the others. "The support group for Evan's victims is meeting tonight. They want me to come speak." "You should. It's important for people to know they're not alone." She paused. "Speaking of not being alone, that cute contractor from your last project keeps asking about you." I laughed. "One life-changing event at a time, please." Through the mediation room's window, I could see Trinity crying, while Rick stared blankly at the wall. Thomas was already packing up, probably realizing this was a lost cause. They really thought they could fix this, I mused. That they could lawyer their way out of consequences, just like always. People like that never think the rules apply to them, Zaley said, until they do. My phone buzzed. A news alert about Evan pleading guilty to federal charges. No trial needed. The evidence was overwhelming. Ready to go? Zaley asked. I took one last look at my parents through the window. They looked small now, diminished. All their manipulations, all their enabling, all their family-first lies had finally caught up with them. Yeah, I said, I'm ready. The last box from my parents' house sat unopened on my kitchen counter. After their bankruptcy forced them to downsize to a small apartment, Trinity had begged the bailiffs to let her give me my childhood memories. I knew it was another manipulation tactic, but I'd accepted the box anyway. My doorbell rang. Sadie stood on the porch with 2 coffee cups and a determined expression. Thought you might need moral support for this, she said, nodding at the box. How did you know? Because I kept my scammers' photos for months before I could look at them. She set the coffee down. Want company while you go through it? Inside the box, Trinity had packed exactly what I'd expected. Carefully curated photos of happy family moments. Evan's graduation before he dropped out. Family vacations where I was always behind the camera. Holiday gatherings where they'd pressured me to loan him money. They documented their own manipulation, I mused, showing Sadie a Christmas photo. Look, this was right after they convinced me to co-sign his first business loan. My phone buzzed. A text from Rick. Found more of your things. Can we bring them by? They're still trying, Sadie noted. I typed back, donate them. I have everything I need. How's the support group going? I asked Sadie, changing the subject. Growing. 3 more victims came forward yesterday. The prosecutors are adding their stories to Evan's case. She sipped her coffee. Your parents tried to come to the last meeting. What? Why? To explain their side, apparently. Security didn't let them in. She smiled grimly. Trinity made a scene, saying we were all conspiring against her precious family. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Zaley, waving a document. Hot off the press, she announced, striding into my kitchen. Evan took a plea deal. 8 years federal time, plus restitution to all victims. She spotted the box. Ah, guilt trip in a box day? Want to help us burn it? Sadie suggested. Actually, I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I have a better idea. I showed them the screen. My mortgage payment history. All green check marks. All in my name only. The house is fully mine now, I said. No loans, no liens, no family claims. I thought maybe we could celebrate that instead. Zaley grinned. Housewarming party 2.0? More like house freedom party, Sadie corrected. My phone buzzed again. Trinity. Your father lost his job. We need help with rent. Family has to stick together in hard times. I showed the others. Some people never learn. Block them, Sadie advised. Like I blocked my scammer. Sometimes peace means cutting the cord completely. Already done. I held up my phone, showing the blocked numbers. Want to help me redecorate? I'm thinking of turning Evan's old room into a home office. We spent the afternoon moving furniture and pinning paint samples to walls. Every change felt like reclaiming another piece of my life. The doorbell rang one last time. This time it was Anthony, the bailiff who'd supervised my parents' property seizure. Sorry to bother you, he said, but I thought you should know. Your brother's been writing letters from jail trying to set up new investment schemes. Your parents are collecting money from their church group to help him start fresh when he gets out. Of course they are. I shook my head. Thank you for telling me. No problem. I've seen too many families like yours. It's rare to see someone break the cycle. After he left, I rejoined Sadie and Zaley in what would be my new office. You okay? Zaley asked. Better than okay. I picked up the box of family photos. I'm going to donate these to the prosecutor's office. They can use them to show how long the manipulation patterns went on. Turn their weapons into evidence. Sadie nodded approvingly. Perfect. We ordered pizza and sat on my office floor, planning the room's new layout. My phone stayed quiet. No more guilt trips, no more manipulation, no more family emergencies. You know what? I said, looking around at my half-painted walls and my true friends. I finally feel at home here. Because it's really yours now, Zaylee said. No, I corrected her, because I'm really mine now. Sadie raised her pizza slice in a toast. To breaking cycles. To consequences, Zaylee added. I looked at the empty box that had held so many false memories, then at the room that represented my future. To building something better, I finished. And for the first time since this all began, I felt nothing but peace.